Harmony himbos and drifting dames. Slug back a gulp of overpriced beer. Remark upon the smell of that funny incense someone is burning. And if you're not dehydrated and sunburnt on Monday, then how will the accounting team know that you did something fun this weekend?
I will trade you these beads for some talk Tull to me, man.
That's funny. It's a Burning Man reference.
Sure is.
Wow, I didn't even make that. I didn't even think of that. Welcome back to the pod. I am Omen Thomas Sade.
And I am Nick McGill.
Together we are definitely not on fire, feckless moans.
And this is a rainy weekend called Talk Tull to Me.
A colorful carousal behind the prog rock merch tent in which Neon Nick and Open Air Omen quest across time and space to taste the rainbow of every single track that a road-devouring rock band Jethro Tull have ever dropped into the kaleidoscope of our consciousnesses. We will borrow a backstage pass to bow before the musical bonfire of Martin Barr. We will stage dive into the dynamic arms of Big Boy Doane Perry and visit the med tent after fainting at the frightful Foss Patterson fireworks display. And if, beyond the vibe pits and chill-out zones, we can thread the needle through the festival eye, we may enter that magical realm of eternal rocking and unzip the zesty snack tent of the Sunset Scotsman, the funfair flautist, the caravan cavalier, the fairlight food trucker, Ian, it's past my bedtime, Anderson.
If Ian had a food truck, what would it be? What would he be selling?
I think it'd probably be curry. I was tempted to say salmon, but it would be curry.
Yeah. My first thought was salmon. My second thought was haggis. But ultimately, it's going to be curry. I mean, that makes the most sense.
The Anderson Curry Caravan.
Anderson Curry Company.
The Anderson Curry Company. Yeah, I think we have a business proposal for...
Yeah, what was the boiler? Anderson Boiler...
Oh, Boiler Fluid Company.
Yeah, Anderson was in the name of that, right? Wasn't it just Anderson Boiler Fluid Company, something like that?
So.
So creative.
Anderson and Sons Boiler Fluid and Curry.
Yes. Two birds, one stone. Perfect.
Nick, speaking of birds, we have the rare pleasure today on the podcast of talking about a song by prog rock band Jethro Tull.
Yeah. It's a rarity, but I think we're going to do it. Before we get rolling on this week's song itself, I do want to point out that last week, chronologically in terms of when we are recording, last week's episode was Roll Your Own.
Oh, yes!
And we were talking about where you remembered hearing something about the origin, the actual origin from Ian Anderson's pursed lips about what Roll Your Own is actually about.
Yes.
You posited it was from like a radio show or an interview or something where he was trying to explain how it was masturbation, right?
I had some very dim memory of it, yes.
Yeah. So pretty quickly in the Discord, somebody dropped it in. It might have been Jupson. Somebody else might have dropped in a link to a video on YouTube. But also, the day after, none other than James Duncan Anderson drops us a quick little line saying, "Hey guys, I believe this is the video you were looking for."
Yes, that is factually accurate. And do we have that recording now?
We do. I will play it. It's like a minute of mild embarrassment. Enjoy.
Finish with a track off the new album. And in this case, the album, just to remind everybody, is called, in fact, it's the forthcoming one. It's not out until September, called Catfish Rising. And this is a track called Roll Your Own. Is this literally true?
Well, is what really true? Yes, it is a track on the album. Are you trying to get me to tell you what it's about?
Oh, no, not particularly.
Okay, no, I mean, it's nothing to do with drugs. Somebody in the record company thought that it was about rolling marijuana cigarettes or something, which it certainly isn't. It's actually more of an intrinsically sexual nature and really more to do with the sort of female
judging by your face, when I said the title...
I just don't want to say female masturbation on the air, especially in front of such a gracious lady as yourself.
You see, you were really good until the very last few words, and then you had to ruin it all, didn't you? I'm going to have to play the music now and say goodbye. I'm going to have to throw you out now.
Oh.
Terribly sorry, and you've got to go.
Oh.
Goodbye.
Nick, that is the most English interaction I've ever heard in my entire life.
Just hedging and hemming and hawing and slightly pointing fingers, but not quite.
I love that she says, well, I'll have to throw you off the show now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so polite. Anyway, well, there it is. There's straight from the horse's mouth.
Wonderful. We are still trucking along, going strong in Catfish.
Yes.
We are, let's see, what are we looking at? We're like 3/4 of the way through, I think. So today we are talking White Innocence. And then after that, we've got 4 more. We've got 4 more. Okay, so this marks the end of the proper before we get into bonus tracks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Off of the vinyl, you say?
I don't know. It's so difficult to know. Because the vinyl also had bonus tracks. It also came with like a little EP that had 2 on one side and 2 on the other. So
Vinyl sidecar.
yeah, exactly. That's my favorite drink.
This is track 10. Terrible for you,
It's awful.
but delicious. This is track 10 off of the album in the Gregorian way of counting.
the CD, I think, right?
Yeah.
The CD version has 10, I think.
Possibly. I'm going off of Silent Singing, but at any rate,
Oh, right. Yeah.
this is White Innocence. And shall we have a listen?
Let's innocently open our ears to this.
Nick, that was White Innocence, all 7 minutes and 30 seconds of it.
Yeah, damn near 8 minutes. That's a doozy, that baby.
It's longer than I've ever lasted.
Yeah. That's longer than I've been innocent, says the most boring man in the world.
This is a classic. I think of all the songs from this album,
Mm-hmm.
this is one that I think has stood the test of time in the same way that something like Hot Night in Budapest has. It has that scale. It easily enters that Tull catalog of big conceptual designed songs that really take you on a journey and are 7 minutes long.
Right. Yeah. It's the closest thing to a jam that you're going to get from Tull. You can kind of close your eyes and just disappear with this song. And boy, howdy, it's pretty good.
Ian, in Silent Singing, says, White Innocence is a close cousin of Budapest.
Yep.
Another lesson in look, but don't touch. Yeah, very interesting. It is a fascinating theme throughout the Tull catalog, this sense of getting right up to the edge of something transgressive and then backing off from it and just appreciating the beauty for what it is.
Yeah. We don't ever hit a point, or it's certainly not common where it goes too far, but it's pretty darn close. There's a handful of towing that line.
You know, in the songs when a romantic or sexual relationship goes, quote unquote, too far or all the way, it is a situation where the lady is all completely in control.
Right. She's in power. Yeah.
There are probably some exceptions. You know, Velvet Green. That's definitely a song of the male seducer, but it is pretty rare in that.
Yeah. Ian was in rare form, I think, in the songs from the Wood era. We got a lot of fecundity in that one, of all varieties.
Appropriate, as he was embracing his own agricultural revolution. He was sowing his wild oats.
Correct. Fact.
Speaking of sowing oats, did I ever tell you about where the term broadcast comes from?
I don't think so, no.
It totally relates to the historical figure of Jethro Tull, as opposed to the seed drill. Before that method of farming, you would just till up an entirety of ground, and then rather than planting stuff in rows, you would take a handful of seeds and cast it
Yep.
out into the field broadly. You would broadcast it.
Okay. So how did that turn into like me telling you the news?
Because when in the old days of radio, you were doing the same thing. You were casting out your transmission,
You word seeds.
and not in a single beam, but in a generalized direction.
Right. Wow.
So, yeah.
We can thank Jethro Tull for that as well then.
Little fun entomology for you.
I love a good bug.
Nick, let's talk about the music for this song.
Yeah. Let's do that.
We were debating about whether or not this song included the key work of Foss Patterson.
Yes.
I think, having listened to it, I think we can fairly definitively say that that is someone that we've not heard until now.
Mm.
I would think that it probably is Mr. Patterson.
Yeah, sure.
Just looking at the keys, we have a lot going on. The synth work is very serious. It at times reminds me of, I say this with reservation because I'm afraid of how you'll react. It reminds me a little bit of D. Palmer. Not at the same level, but in the same kind of attempt at what's happening.
Orchestral sweeping.
Atmospheric. On the other hand, there are some times when it reminds me a little bit of John Evans, where it has that kind of classical, playful lilt to it. The settings vary from piano to straight synth to strings to organ. It's really all over the place, and it's gorgeous.
Yeah. There's a lot going on in the song musically, which gives him a pretty broad range to work with.
Yes.
And he does. He tramps all over that space. And it's great.
And the song benefits from that because
Absolutely.
it feels like such an epic story, even though relatively little happens in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's great to have that feeling of environment and distance and time.
Yeah, I think environment is a really good way to put it. He adds to the atmosphere of the song because there's so much in this story. Musically, we don't just get a quick snapshot of a figure in blackness, just like a picture. We get a diorama. We look in through the hole cut in the cardboard box, and we can see what's going on there. the glory hole box.
And that'll be a $1
to look in the box.
I'll charge you a nickel to look through this hole into the cardboard box.
So we start with funky bass. We got flute. We got drums. We got the acoustic. Is that mando or is that guitar?
I think it's an acoustic guitar.
It is. Okay.
And I wonder if it's being played by Ian.
I think it might be. It feels slightly Ianish. Ianic.
Yeah, it has that kind of workman quality to it.
Yeah, but it also has a folkness to it.
Yes.
Like it's a blue collar man playing the acoustic guitar.
Ian plays the guitar in the same way that I imagine your dad hangs drywall. Comes in, gets it done. It's very good quality.
Bish bash bosh. Yeah.
Bish bash bosh.
It's not straight industrious though, because there is some feeling there. There's some flourish. There's some.
Yes.
It's not, I'm going to play the acoustic guitar because the acoustic guitar needs to be played here. There's some feeling behind it.
You're right. And actually, there is a spot later on in the song where it's that dun 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 sound. You know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
Dum 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 bum ba dum bum 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 shaka daka down. That last little bit is on the acoustic, and it's atypically riffy and kind of expressive for Ian's playing, but I still think it's Ian.
I think you might be right. Yeah.
Of all the songs on this album, I would say this is the least bluesy so far.
But it still smacks of blues.
It has some sections where the blues surface later on, especially when we get that around the last minute of the song, we get the organ sound coming in. Wow. That feels a little bit more bluesy to me. But on the whole, some of the elements that we've heard throughout this album, like even the billy goat voice.
Yeah.
It's not really in this song. There's one moment where you could possibly detect it. I was sending out low voltage electricity.
Think I was sending out low voltage electricity.
He touches on it, but that's the only detection of it that I experienced.
Yeah. Yeah. His voice is more straightforward here, carries a lot of kind of mysterious passion, a fond retelling of it.
And earnest.
Yeah. It's not necessarily guilty, but there's something underlying there in his telling.
Confessatorial?
Confessional. Yeah.
Confessional? This feels a little confessional.
Yeah, I think that might be it. Yeah.
Forgive me, Father, for I lusted after a young woman.
Yeah, please tell me. Picks up the acoustic guitar. Do you have 8 minutes, Father?
Oh, let me clear my schedule. The acoustic guitar, circling back to that for a second, has a whole lot of reverb on it. A lot of the reverb on this whole song is turned up all the way.
Yep. Yeah.
Which aids that feeling of kind of a strong, clear focus in a hazy context where the kind of atmosphere is always a little bit misty, always a little bit smoky.
Yeah, I wrote down miasma and getting lost in the fog. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the central image is crystalline.
Mm-hmm. Every now and then we see something to pull us from it, like those really bright electric guitar stings that come up every now and then.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, for the most part, it's on the back of this amorphous fog.
You know, I wrote down at 1:30, about 1:30, 1:31, when the drum and bass kick back in. And we have Ian's acoustic. Martin is riffing it up. It does go back to that more bluesy feeling. It's just that intro is really unbluesy.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it would just be rock, right? Like, I mean, there's no other classification for it. It's just a slow kind of like mysteriously sexy rock song.
Yes, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
The reason why it's sexy is mysterious.
Yeah, we don't know why, but we do feel it in our bones.
Yeah, we do.
So many bones. So despite the maybe lesser amount of bluesiness here, we do still get the evolution of the vocal ejacs. We get a lot of huhs.
Oh, yes.
Yes. We even get a laugh at Heaven on Earth. It's real nice. A little heaven on earth.
There was the promise of heaven on earth.
It almost goes into the realm of comment.
Right, yeah.
Rather than like, I have too much energy. I have so much energy about this feeling that it can't be contained in the lyric that I wrote. I have to like yippee afterwards.
Yeah, right.
Which is great. I love that. This is more like, here's the thing I'm saying. And now I'm going to make a little noise because obviously you know what that means, you know?
Because it's absurd. Yeah. It's not necessarily fourth wall breaking, but it's at least, it makes it more personal. It makes it feel more like he is telling us this story to us as opposed to I'm going to sing this song.
Yeah. I forget where it is, but there's one point where he goes, it was the promise of early bedtime? It's almost as if he's laughing at himself.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's. Yeah, because Heaven on Earth is right after that. That's where the laugh is. Yeah.
Heaven on Earth, that's it. Okay. It was the promise of heaven on earth.
There was the promise of heaven on earth.
Almost as if like, how could I be so stupid as to think something was going to happen here?
Right.
I don't know. It almost seems like a self-deprecating comment.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, it's like, I have to tell you this story. I got to tell somebody. It's a little absurd.
Yes.
But this is what happened.
And even as I'm telling it, I'm like laughing at how ridiculous it is that this is even that this is even something that I feel the need to communicate.
But I'm still going to deliver it in a sultry way.
Because that's the only way I can.
That's the only way I have.
Structurally, we have a really incredible bridge in this song.
Oh my gosh.
Around 4:17, we get the synth coming in on that pseudo string setting with that incredible mounting arpeggio. Dun, 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 dun. And then we have Ian coming in with the shum ba da ba da ba. He's playing the flute like some sort of a tantric guru.
Tantric fluting, yeah.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part. Particularly the synth in that part is just so good.
It's great.
It's very, very good.
And that's what makes me feel like this song is in that canon of compositional, like you said, orchestral, semi-orchestral. Like I'm sure this song has been played with an orchestra.
Oh, girl, I would love that.
Speaking of it, I wonder, Nick, how many times this song has been played in concert.
Let me see. My guess is not as many as Budapest. They still play Budapest. I doubt that they play White Innocence.
I wonder.
Let's see.
Just as you're looking that up, I just wanted to draw a little parallel between the last verse of Strange Avenues. Heading up and out now from your rock island, really good to have you here with me. And somewhere in the crowd, I think I hear a young girl whisper, "Are you ever lonely, just like me?"
Heading up and out now from your rock island. Really good to have had you here with me. Yeah, somewhere in the crowd, I think I hear a young girl whisper, whisper, "Are you ever lonely, just like me?"
That could be the same figure. I mean, archetypically, character-wise, it's a very similar figure, that the innocent, lonely, young girl somehow making a connection with the singer.
You're saying this girl who came in the festival could be the one that's whispering about being alone.
It seems that same image, yes. You know, whether it is literally the same character or whether it's just a theme, I could imagine it being somebody that keeps popping up, you know, like a dream image almost, something that you have this repeated image that comes up over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm. So we saw it played. The first time it was played was October 3rd in 1991 in Manchester.
Makes sense.
The last time it was played was April 9th, 1992.
Oh, wow. I'm surprised.
47 times and 2 times by Martin Barr.
That really actually surprises me. I really would have thought it would have been played more.
I thought it would have a little longevity, but no, certainly not.
Wow.
Martin played it twice in 2012 for some reason. Only twice.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Very strange. Yeah.
2012.
The year I was born.
The year I got back my virginity.
I left it in Ecuador and they posted it back.
Listen. It had to clear customs.
Alrighty, Omen, we've got a pleasant surprise for this half, but before we dive into that,
we have an unpleasant non-surprise.
We have an unpleasant banality. You got a little excerpt for us.
Yeah, here in the book, A Passion Play, the Story of Ian Anderson and Jethro Tull by Brian Raby. It's been a little while since we've consulted this tome. The entirety of the 1990s is summarized in one very brief chapter that is basically a single page.
Wow.
Of Catfish Rising, Raby says, Anderson's favorite quote about this 1991 album revolved around the music being played on instruments that originated from trees. Couldn't really tell you. I mean, yeah, they all... Anyway, it was an attempt, in fact, to return to the blues roots of This Was over 20 years after Ian had moved on and progressed, quote unquote. The result was that the fans didn't quite know what to make of the album. They either loved it or hated it. I mean, that's kind of on par for what a lot of the sentiment around this time of Tull is.
Agreed, yeah.
I still think this is just such a fabulous, well-crafted album.
Yeah. I don't feel any comparison to This Was, and I don't feel that the trees are singing to me.
The trees! I mean, all instruments ultimately come from trees, except for, like, the trumpet.
And the flute?
Oh, yeah. The original flute was made of bone.
Tree bones.
The bones of the trees. Nick, what's our special treat now that we've gotten through that?
Well, I was doing some poking around, and I've got our most recent chart rankings, international chart rankings, all falling in the music commentary section from Apple Podcasts. We are 120 in the UK. Thank you, our UK listeners. We are number 66 in Italy.
Oh.
How do you say thank you in Italian?
Grazie.
Grazie. Oh my God, how did I forget that? 86 in Chile. We are 163 in Sweden and 218 in Austria. Guten Tag. And then I also found that we have missed out on some international reviews.
Wow.
So I'd like to go back and cover them real quick.
Let's do so.
So these are from a while ago. This is from the UK, from WIDS, WIDDS. This was a year ago. My apologies.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. WIDS, we're so sorry.
This is entitled A Passion Project. A show with huge ambition, great inquisitiveness, companionable humor, and a passion to inform and be informed in turn. TTTM has become a clubhouse for dedicated Tull Skulls worldwide, where we can share the love and the accumulated knowledge of a half-century of the greatest prog rock band of them all. Dive in.
That's a great review. Thank you, Wids.
Yes, wonderful.
We're sorry that we lost you in the back of the cabinet, but I think that the line, a clubhouse for Tull Skulls across the world, is probably something that we should print on our t-shirts.
I like that. I like that a lot. We have ourselves another one from the UK. Oh, Wids was 5 stars, by the way. Another 5-star from Woodface440 from the UK.
Woodface?
The best Jethro Tull podcast. This is a great example of what's possible with a podcast. Hosted by 2 funny, knowledgeable, and humble guys that don't pretend they have all the answers and are happy to be corrected by their increasing following of Tull Skulls. Recommended.
Woodface! That's very appreciated. Also very funny username.
And we will round it out with a great big one. It looks like we've got a jump start in here, actually. From P space A space P space E from Ireland. This was 2 years ago. My apologies.
Hello there.
Pape.
Hello there, Pappy.
Pappy, I hope you're still listening. This is called Pure Class if you're a Jethro Tull fan. 2 crazy but intelligent Yanks, laughing cryface, go song by song through the discography of my all-time favorite band. Loved this band since 1979 when I was 11, 54 now. I was never one for lyric details, so I find it so interesting to listen to their interpretations. They also point out the various instruments at play, which I now listen out for intently. I only started listening on Christmas Day 2021. Am now on the last bonus track off Minstrel in the Gallery.
Wow.
Not bad going, as I play tons of music as well. It's improving episode by episode. Yes, it definitely does. I'm going to get rid of the Irish accent.
Oh, I thought it was great.
My apologies to everyone.
Very impressed.
I've also played the special Zealot Gene review episode twice to help me get into the long-awaited new 2022 Tull album. I came on here especially to give them a well-earned positive review, normally listed on Spotify. Hope Apple will let me use that word. As an Irish fan, I know I won't get all their Americanisms or recipes. No problem, that can't be helped. However, I wish they would please ease off the weekly joke. Tune in next week to listen to our podcast. Talk to me. It's driving me nuts.
That's the second complaint that we've gotten about that bit.
In fairness, that's my only negative. I love the show. Looking forward to hearing the next 4 album reviews, a particularly brilliant period for the band. Good old Catholic Ireland led to my jumpstart into Jethro Tull. I received a few bob at age 11 for my confirmation and promptly bought a tape recorder with a built-in recording mic. Cutting-edge technology at the time. Also, a few blank cassette tapes. I recorded the albums Aqualung and MU The Best Of and never looked back. I backed the wrong horse and continued to buy their recordings on cassette until I was 16. That's when I bought my first vinyl. At the time, Stormwatch was £4 and A was €550. I bought the former as it was more affordable. Lucky break. A is definitely my least favorite of their albums, so I can't wait to hear the Feckless Moans slant on it. Maybe they will reinvent it for me. Maybe there's a Mellotron or cowbell that I missed. Some challenging album reviews to come, but I'm sure they'll be well able for it. I fought hard but learned to love the 80s, 90s stuff. If introducing someone to the band, I'd never use these albums as good examples, though. Anyway, enough nonsense from me. If you read this, Omen or Nick, fair play. You're doing a brilliant job. Keep it up. And then about 30 Irish flags.
Just in case we didn't get it. Well, Pappy, thank you so much for your report and your jumpstart. Treat yourself to a cigarette and a look around.
Thank you so much, Pappy. Thank you so much.
Kick a sheep for us.
Kick it. Yes, that's what they do there.
But in all seriousness, thank you, and we hope that this little jewel of us reading the review is embedded like a wonderful surprise for you in about 4 years' time.
Yes, I hope you are still listening. That would be nice. Okay, alrighty. There we go. That is done. Here we are now to talk the lyrics of this 8-minute song.
And what lyrics they are.
Aside from the phrase white innocence and funny thing, the wisdom of the lonely, funny thing, the charm of the young, there's no repetition here.
Yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't clocked that, but we have basically a 2-word chorus.
Yeah, repeated heavily. But still, I mean, the story is the story. There's no like, this is a verse, this is a bridge. We're going to go back and revisit this like we do sometimes, you know?
And that's what gives it that storytelling, confessional quality, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, yes.
I think that the first 2 lines, the first sentence of this song is some of the most brilliant image setting and scene setting that anyone could wish for. I mean, Ian's very good at that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But she drifted from some minor festival, didn't look like any summer of love.
She drifted from some minor festival. Didn't look like any summer of love.
Oh my God. It just, boom, there it is. Yep. There's the image, perfectly clear.
And his delivery really adds so much to it too. And it's pretty much the same delivery through almost all of it. It's just his kind of like trudging through this tale with a little remorse, a little longing, but it really does add to the power behind the lyrics.
Absolutely. Summer of Love, of course, is a reference to Summer Lovin', the song in Greece. Tell me more, tell me more. That's a joke.
Summer of Love would be Woodstock.
Woodstock.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 1968 original festival, I think. 68's around that time.
69 was what I thought.
Was it?
Yeah.
Anyway, that classic festival, which Jethro Tull did not play at.
Chose not to, correct. But certainly by 91, Woodstock had a very specific
connotation,
very specific reputation.
Well, and it's sort of a high watermark in the world of festivals.
Music festivals, yeah.
And how often, I mean, you and I haven't gone to a lot of music festivals.
I've never gone to a music festival.
And also, I have never gone to one. Oh, that's not true. I have done.
Did you go to the one in Galax?
I did go to the one in Galax.
Yeah, my dad really wants us to go.
The Old Time Fiddlers Convention. We should go.
Yeah. Now that they have a house in Galax.
Maybe we should go. But it is a bit of a trend for music festivals to bill themselves or to kind of associate themselves with that sense of like, this is the ultimate love fest. It's music, it's like,
yeah, right.
It's going to be like Woodstock all over again. And it's not. And so, to say like this minor festival was hyping itself up, I sort of, I have the impression of this minor festival that's like, it's the biggest thing in rural Ohio that has ever happened. And then it's just, just 1,000 weekend warriors in a muddy field.
Just 1,000 weekend warriors in a muddy field.
She was the hand to fit my glove.
She was the hand to fit my glove.
That's very interesting because it is a typical negative, positive, male-female type of metaphor, and yet he is positioning himself as the empty space. He's a Muppet.
Yeah, but there's also like when you're missing something, that's often characterized as being a hole, being a lack of something. She filled the emptiness in me.
Yeah, it's just it's fascinating. It makes him sound a bit like a Muppet that's waiting for Jim Henson to come and stick his hand into.
I just hope he warms his hands this time.
Jim, that's a little cold, isn't it? Wow. Yay!
All right, I'm done.
You're the best proctologist ever.
I'll turn my head and cough.
Funny thing, the innocence of the lonely. Funny thing, the charm of the young.
Funny thing, the innocence of the lonely. Funny thing, the charm of the young.
What is there to say about that?
And so he's given us our environment. He's given us basically our two characters, him and this young woman. And he's really setting up his view of this character before we get into the next 30 lines.
Yeah. And also his sense of powerlessness.
Yeah, right. And it's not like it was forcefully taken from him or anything. It just kind of happened, it's the white innocence, the innocence of the moment and the innocence of this girl stripped him of any semblance of power.
I love the way you said that. See how she moves just like two angels in white innocence.
See how she moves just like two angels in white innocence.
I don't know what two angels could mean.
It's so confusing to me. It feels like the euphemism of a very buxom woman that's two bald men fighting under a blanket.
I don't know if that's the reference.
I don't think it is, but like two angels. She's more graceful than a single angel. She's more innocent than a single angel.
That could be it.
It feels too easy, though.
Well, he continues it by saying, yet one of them is on the run, the other's tapping at my car window.
Yet one of them is on the run. The other's tapping at my car window.
So it's almost this sense of duality of someone caught in a moment of flight or fight, of desperation and wanting to reach out.
Yeah.
And each of those would be an angelic choice.
Right. Yeah, I think you're close to something there. It's the decision to hitchhike or just continue on her way, I guess.
Yeah. It also reminds me a little of the image of like an angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other. It's a complex image, and it's one of those classic Ian images that you really have to meditate on.
But the one who chooses to hitchhike isn't necessarily evil, isn't a bad one.
No, it's two angels.
Yeah. So the other's tapping at my car window, and I'm squinting through the sun, trying to see if she's some child of the 90s or just another dangerous fantasy of mine.
And I'm squinting through the sun, trying to see if she's some child of the 90s, or just another dangerous fantasy of mine.
So much to unpack there. I'm a little confused about child of the 90s because if, she's presumably in the young adult age range, let's just assume that she's over 18 for legal purposes. She wouldn't have been born in the 90s because it's 1991. She's not 1 year old.
Oh, yeah, it is 91. You're right.
But I think that the phrase a child of the 90s is referencing some kind of generational gap where there was an attitude shift.
Right.
Born in the early 80s who were coming into or even late 70s who were becoming young adults in the 90s. Aren't they referred to as the me generation?
Well, we're millennials.
Yeah, that's us.
Right.
But I mean, somebody who would have been 18 or 19 in 91.
Oh, in 91. Oh, that sounds vaguely familiar, yeah. We're on the very early cusp. We're some of the first millennials, so they would be before us.
Yeah. Gen X.
Yeah.
I love the image of that she's backlit. I'm squinting through the sun trying to see.
Right.
Is this some vapid young festival person, or am I having another one of my delusional visions?
Yeah. Did I take too much peyote? Oh, no, the meat generation is boomers.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting turn of phrase. I like the implication that the singer sometimes has dangerous visions of young women, like...
Yeah.
Reminds me of the scene in Dumbo when you have the heffalumps dancing around his head.
Because he got drunk.
Right, except it's ballet dancers.
Yeah. It's borderline like... I'm taking pills for this. I'm not allowed within 500 yards of an elementary school. Like it's all calling it a dangerous fantasy really is borderline uncomfortable making for me.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
I read it more as like a Don Quixote complex. Is this really some young innocent person, or is this another one of those horrible festival, drug addicted slags with 3 teeth? I'm making her into this innocent young thing in my mind because I have this Don Quixote-like predilection of seeing things differently, based on my fantasy of them.
And that therefore makes it dangerous?
Well, depends. Yeah, tilting at windmills can be profoundly dangerous.
Valid.
A perfect hole was in her stocking. It made a perfect window to her heart. Lovely image. I could have moved among her waterfalls, her misty curtains drawn apart.
A perfect hole was in her stocking. It made a perfect window to her heart. I could have moved among her waterfalls, her misty curtains drawn apart.
Great blend of kind of pseudo New Age spiritual imagery that one might find in these kind of festivals, and also, some very sexy imagery.
Very euphemistic, yes.
Did she see warm safety in my numbers to want to hitch a ride this way?
Did she see warm safety in my numbers? Don't wanna hitch a ride this way.
So is he alone? I always thought it was just him, but I mean, that makes me feel like he's with a bunch of people.
I'd always interpreted it as she realizes she has no place to stay, nowhere to go, and she scans the parking lot and sees a Bentley.
So numbers for you is wealth.
Yes.
Numbers for me is old age.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Like, he looks old enough to feel really bad about taking advantage of me.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Oh, interesting. Why not both?
Porque no los dos, Omen.
Porque no los dos.
I'm not sure I would necessarily see a Bentley. I think I would see like just a nicer Volkswagen bus.
Sure, whatever. Whatever, sort of a, but
A Bentley bus.
she did some sort of calculations, perhaps.
Yeah, right.
She made a choice, whatever was the reasoning. I think that's what the singer spends a lot of time agonizing about, is like, why did this person come choose me to hitch a ride with?
Yeah, exactly.
And then we have the guilt section of the song.
Yeah.
Felt like I was taking her to market now to be sold as the last lot of the day. Whew.
Felt like I was taken at a market now, to be sold as the last lot of the day.
Why, though?
I think because the great thing about this song is that it's not about what actually happens.
Yeah.
It's about what is happening in the mind of the person.
Yeah.
And so I think that in this situation where he just agreed to give a ride to this young woman, his mind is spinning forward and being like, oh my God, is this my new girlfriend? Are we going to go to my hotel and
play checkers?
And then feeling guilty about even thinking that.
Right. These are his dangerous fantasies. Yeah.
He's pre-guilty.
So he's Catholic. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Exactly. Another great imagery. She pressed the button, lowered the window.
She pressed the button, lowered the window.
She didn't have to crank that shit down. That's how you know it's a nice car.
In 91. Yeah, that's notable.
Let her hand trail in the slipstream.
Let her hand trail in the slipstream of the night.
Maybe unintentional song reference. I mean, at this point, they have so many songs that any combination of words is likely to spark something.
Yeah. You throw a couple of darts, you're going to hit something, but
right. But still,
it could have been anything. I think it's conscious.
Yeah. A frost from nowhere seemed to lick her fingers.
A frost from nowhere seemed to lick her fingers.
You know, one of the things that I've always imagined as a visual for this young woman, especially since it's called White Innocence, is that she's like very pale.
Yeah.
Like almost fragile looking.
Yeah.
So I can imagine, you know, that she has that graceful quality. You see some people and you're like, oh my God, I just want, like, do you need a blanket? Are you cold? You're so thin. Eat something.
The wind is going to blow you away. Yeah.
I could have made her a nice minestrone, but the moment wasn't right.
Unfortunately, I just finished my matzo balls.
I can't wait to be reincarnated as an Italian grandmother.
You're so close, man.
I'm so close. I'm so close. I just want to feed everybody.
You just want to be a Nona.
I do.
Like, nobody blames you.
I want to be like, how could you go outside wearing that? Don't you know it's the temperature?
I saw a dude walking with presumably his son. It was 31 degrees out. It was
Fahrenheit.
The kid must have been like 5 Fahrenheit.
5 Fahrenheit.
The kid must have been like 5 Fahrenheit. And he was wearing t-shirts and a pair of shorts.
The kid?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's criminal negligence. Why would you let that child walk out of the house when it is literally below freezing?
Builds character.
All right, Dad.
I could have warmed them, but the moment wasn't right.
I could have warmed them, but the moment wasn't right.
There's something very Hamlet about this.
Oh.
If this was Led Zeppelin, this would be a lot shorter.
Yeah, okay.
Because they just would have made love.
They would have, yeah. It would have been sweet, sweet, amazing love.
This song would have been squeeze my lemon till the juice runs down my leg. Squeeze it so hard I fall right out of bed.
Sleep me, babe, till the juice runs down my leg. Squeeze me, baby, till the juice runs down my leg. The way you squeeze my lemon, I'm gonna fall right out of bed.
But instead, it's all these hesitations, all these opportunities and then doubts. It's like, oh, I'm going to go kill Claudius. Oh, but he's praying. Oh, I can't kill him while he's praying. Oh.
Right, yeah. As soon as it becomes a point where action needs to be taken, there's always an excuse.
Paralysis, almost, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Obvious she was headed nowhere special. Yes, well, it was even obvious to me.
Obvious she was headed nowhere special. Yeah, well, it was even obvious to me.
I love that he's always undercutting himself in this song.
This is both actual physical location, like, hey, where are you going? I don't know, wherever you're going, kind of thing with a hitchhiker, but also like this girl has no aim in life, no trajectory. If she's just like spending her life at music festivals.
Yeah.
Possibly.
So I was doing some watching, some waiting. Even the way that's phrased gives that sense of hesitation, breathlessness.
Mm-hmm.
She'd been here before, most definitely.
I was doing some watching, some waiting. She'd been here before, most definitely.
What I find fascinating about this song is that you have this figure who is written to seem to have all the hallmarks of being in need of protection, in danger, and yet her power grows and grows and grows and grows in the song.
She's clearly capable. She's done this before. She does not need your help. All she needs is a ride.
Yeah.
Stop sniveling and give me a ride, or I'll find somebody else.
Yeah. I'm going to rewrite the song where she stabs him at the end and steals the car.
Nice. I like it.
I was doing some... Ouch, I've been stabbed!
I was doing some bleeding.
Some lying in the ditch.
Dying. It'll be called Red Innocence.
There was the promise of early bedtime. Yeah. There was the promise of heaven on earth. Think I was sending out low voltage electricity. Played it right down for what it was worth.
There was the promise of early bedtime. There was the promise of heaven on earth. Think I was sending out low voltage electricity. Played it right down for what it was worth.
We saw this kind of attempt to regain some sense of status, some manly status in Tall Thin Girl as well.
Yeah. To save like some final granule of substance there.
Yes. I was shaking and sweating. And
like a man does.
It's like a man does. But I played it cool. I'm pretty sure I played it cool, right?
Yeah, it was great. I love the fallibility of Ian's men.
Yes.
It's so satisfying.
I was shitting bricks, but I
identify with all of them.
Yeah, I was shitting bricks, but I tossed back a Tums to cover up.
I'm literally eating Tums right now.
Are you really? Amazing. So finally, we get the out. She turned and looked at me with white innocence and the clearest eyes of forever gray. Oh God, the poetry.
Ooh. Yeah, I love it.
She rested one small hand for a second on my knee.
She turned and looked at me in white innocence, and with the clearest eyes of forever gray. She rested one small hand for a second on my knee.
Very analogous to the, she said she was a dancer. She kisses him on the cheek as the final kind of like warning almost.
Is it an invite? Is it a warning? What is it? We don't know, and we'll never know because he didn't follow her up.
Right. I stopped the car. She walked away.
I stopped the car. She walked away.
This song is made by what we don't know.
Right.
You could read it as that action was an invitation to something more salacious. And he's like, you know what? Get the out of my car.
Oh, yeah. I mean, maybe it was him rejecting. Maybe it was an invite from her, or maybe it was just, hey, this is my stop.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we go back to that one last repetition. Funny thing, the wisdom of the lonely. Funny thing, the charm of the young. Away you go now, white innocence.
Funny thing, the wisdom of the lonely. Funny thing, the charm of the young. Away you go now. White innocence.
And then like a minute and a half of the repetition of white innocence.
A minute and a half of sad wanking.
Yeah.
back in the hotel.
Oh my God.
But there is something about like the wisdom. I love that phrase, the wisdom of the lonely.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Is this a moment of recognition that the fantasy of whatever this could be is more valuable, more needed in a way than the reality of what it could ever actually become?
Just to empower this man, this desperate, sad man, in a way.
Yeah. Well, and as a cautionary tale that could be relevant for the listener's life. Like,
Okay, yeah.
hey, sometimes the sexiest thing you can do is to not have sex.
It's very Nancy Reagan. The coolest thing you can do is not smoke marijuana.
There's nothing hotter than abstinence.
Coming from a burlap sack filled with potatoes.
I got a chastity belt and threw away the key, and my sex life has never been better. Yeah,
Good Lord.
but how lovely to have a song about something that didn't happen.
Right. All speculation. All could have gone this way, could have gone this way. There's very little in here that seems to be pure fact. Like, she came from a music festival.
Yeah.
She tapped on his window. She got in the car. And then she lowered the window. And then she touched his leg to get out.
And she got out. And
Everything else is just like, and then she was breathing sweet rose petals.
right.
And I fell asleep in her aura and we floated away for 3 hours.
Well, and is that not the role of the artist in a way, to take a series of factual events and string them together in such a way that the mind can infuse them with meaning?
Sure.
This is a completely meaningless occurrence.
Yeah.
After a festival, I gave a ride to a hitchhiker. And here's a 8-minute song about it.
Yeah. The whole time I'm sweating bullets and fantasizing, but the most I can do is pull over and let her out when she asks to be gone
Pull over and vomit.
and throw up. Yes, I wonder how many times. He did not mention how many times that happened.
It's not in there, so it's up to our interpretation.
It's subtext. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the charm of the lonely, or the wisdom of the lonely, is to know when to throw up.
I like to imagine that he spent the entire time giving her stats on the engine. She was like,
Yes.
I've got to go.
This is my stop. We're in the middle of this. I have to get out here.
I need to leave.
It's where I go from here.
Nick, have you ever picked up a hitchhiker?
No, I've considered it, but no.
Huh.
What about you?
Yeah, I picked up a couple of hitchhikers one time.
Yeah?
I think there may have been some drugs involved. I regretted it pretty instantly.
Yeah. That's kind of why I don't. And also, like, Rook is in the car almost all the time, too.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
like, hell no.
My dad used to hitchhike quite a lot because back in the day, it used to be a lot more common.
Yeah.
Apparently back in the day, a very common thing to do when you went canoeing, you drive with your canoe to the put-in point,
Yep.
and then you would canoe down the river, and then get out, and then you'd take your paddle with you and hitchhike back. And carrying a paddle while hitchhiking on the side of the road was like almost the sign. That was like the, hey, I need a ride because I'm a canoer.
Right. Yeah.
So everybody would stop.
This was the 20s when picking up
It's the 1920s.
a burly stoic man was totally fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't say in this song how big her paddle was.
He leaves it up to interpretation, Omen.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's part of the fantasy.
Do you know there is a image in one of the Greek stories? Is it the Odyssey, where someone is cursed by one of the gods, maybe Poseidon, to walk inland carrying an oar, and they're not allowed to stop until someone asks them, hey, what is that strange object that you're carrying? Because you're so far inland that they've never seen an oar.
I don't remember that. Yeah, I mean, it could be from the Odyssey. I just don't remember it.
I think it's some situation where Poseidon is like, you're never allowed to come back to the sea ever again. I hate you. You have to go so far inland
Yeah.
that no one basically has ever even heard of the sea or seen anything about it.
Yeah. That sounds utterly Greek.
It's all Greek to me.
Yeah, it was.
White innocence.
Omen.
Oh,
Yeah. Are you back? Are you there? Okay, we're alive.
mind if I come in?
Come on in. I'm squinting at you through the sunlight
That's...
as you knock on my window.
What are we listening to next week?
Next week is theoretically the first of our bonus tracks. We are on track number 11, Sleeping with the Dog, which is, or dogs, I guess it's plural, right?
Singular dog.
It is a single dog.
Oh.
So we're talking Sleeping with the Dog, which is one half of our album art sting. So I will be doing album art discussion, which is not much. It's a black background with a with a fish on it. We'll be talking album art next week.
Bow wow.
Bow wow.
Until next week, I am the promise of early bedtime, Omen Thomas Sade.
I am just another dangerous fantasy of Omen Sades, Nick McGill.
Do you see warm safety in our numbers? We are the Feckless Momes.
And this is the frost from nowhere licking your fingers. Talk Tull to me. Oh, hey, stop. Hey, God damn it. Oh, come on, stop. I'm going that way. That's where I'm going. I'm going that way. Stop for me. Oh, man. Come on. Oh, come on. Stop right here. Just let me go. Oh, man. Don't they know Talk Tull to me is a proud member of the Feckless Moms Audio Network?